Okay, so false rash das is den. So what have we got here? It is 2 wheels less than what's usually in this shed, but it's something that I've mentioned in the videos. If you're following them or have been following them, you'll probably have heard me mention this motorbike. This is a 1968 Triumph T100C. It's a 500cc parallel twin, and the C stands for competition, so it would have had some features on it that would have been considered a little bit more kind of directed towards a bit more performance than the standard T100 Tiger road bike, such as the twin leading shoe, brake on the front there. That was introduced in 1968. 1967 only had a single leading shoe brake on the front. Smaller tank, narrower, a bit more stylish as well, I think. Doesn't have the parcel kind of holder as well, the parcel, what would you call it, a tray, or I fitted underslung exhaust on this. It originally, in 1968, would have had exhausts going up one side only, and over and under. That's the 1968 one there. So that is basically what it would have had from factory. But with the work that was needed on the engine and all, and at the time, I chose to put them underslung because it gives a lot more access, especially to this side of the engine, for doing the bit of work that you need to do. And speaking of the engine, the connecting rods, or con rods, are up there actually, and the pistons are there somewhere as well. It had to get a full nut and bolt rebuild. It new. I sit on the stool here. It's something I'm going to be using a lot more when I'm working on this. The engine got a full nut and bolt rebuild. Anything that we could improve or change or needed to be changed was replaced and changed and overhauled and all of that. My dad and his brother, my uncle, did most of the work on the stripping and the rebuild. We got the crankshaft reground. We got forged connecting rods, Daytona higher ratio pistons. The Daytona was a T100R. I got new barrels, new piston rings, sent the head off to SRM Engineering in Wales, and got hardened valve seats fitted. New valves, everything skimmed, all new gaskets. Valves, the whole lot. New Amal Carb. It's fitted with electronic ignition, Bayer Branson electronic ignition, so it doesn't have points, condenser and all of that. And I've retrofitted genuine Lucas indicators front and back, along with the genuine Lucas flashing unit that does kind of have them flashing at slightly slower speed than you would normally see these days. So I like that. I think it's very much period correct. It's not required by law to have indicators on this bike, I don't think anyway. They weren't introduced from factory until 1972, so there was another couple of years before they were made standard. Fitted new Hagen shocks, the period correct ones. Shocks that were on the bike had exposed springs, and I wasn't 100% sure that that's what should be on this bike. I'm fairly sure they shouldn't be, so they were fitted. Did all the work required on the clutch and all of that. There's multiple discs involved in the clutch. I do have some work to do down here if I want to be fussy. One of these takes a seal and the other one takes a bushing, so I have them there. So I'll be taking off this gearbox cover plate here, fitting them. We fitted a More Go, I think is the name of the make, improved oil pump as well. There's probably a lot more. This was all done about 5 years ago, and I used to only ride it when I was in my home place. So yeah, we fitted then as well the charging system on this, basically just earthed any excess voltage that's not needed into this Zener diode, and that's a kind of a heat shrink on it as well. A heat, I don't know if heat shrink is the right word, but it basically allows the heat out of it caused by basically earthing positive energy, electricity. It gets hot, and those fins help to heat dump, or whatever you call it, sink or something like that. So fitted Lucas rectifier regulator, because it has to rectify the AC volts coming from the alternator, because it has an alternator standard, and it has to rectify that by turning it into direct voltage 12 volts. So that takes when you fit that, this is redundant, but because it's so stylish, I didn't want to remove it because it's part of the bike. So it would have been a rectifier there as well, a separate rectifier. So that kind of makes them other two redundant, and it's out of the way. It's modern looking, so we like to keep it all under there. Fitted bigger and better battery. Went over a good bit of the wiring as well. That's not exactly where the indicator should be, but I'm not 100% sure whether I want to keep indicators on this bike or not. But for the time being, at least, it's where they're going to stay. Because if you have a passenger on the back, it's probably, their legs are probably going to get in the way of that. So I have a few little decisions to make. But all in all, it's in very good nick. There's a few more jobs to do on it. The stanchions and forks and all of that need replacing with new, and all the parts are there to do that. I do want to take off the mudguard, do a good clean underneath there where the muck has been splashed up, and seal it all up. And while I'm doing that, I could take all of the stanchions and forks and all that apart and get that sorted. The indicator switch is probably, it is an aftermarket, but it's fairly period correct, as in, well, it looks period correct. It's the choke. That'll be fairly sure that's an original part. The horn is fairly sure original too, along with the main and dip switch there. The C model only had a speedometer, didn't have a rev clock. This predates the bike, I'd say. It's from 1950s. It's a Smith's chronometric. I probably, if I want to be very fussy, replace it with the correct one, but I find the correct one, to me personally, just looks a little bit too modern, even though it would be the one that was fitted. So I like that. It's not showing the right speed, so I have a feeling the gear driving the cable is wrong, so we will get around to that. It has an ammeter down here. You turn on the ignition, turn on the light, you can see it flickering, it goes back to 0 and it's off. That kind of thing, so you can keep an eye on your charging. Apart from that, it's been sitting up for a good while. It's not getting enough use, so it's here now. And like any carburettor, I'm going to show you the original one here that came from it. Like any carburettor that's sitting up, and with modern petrol full of ethanol, and that ethanol amount having been doubled lately in the E10 petrol, it does block up your pilot jet. So what we got to do, adjustable pilot jet in these Amal carbs, very similar, I suppose you could say, to the Ferguson 20 Vizena carbs we work on there. It meters the amount of air that's going into the mixture of fuel, and it helps steady up your tick over and all of that. And it helps, of course, as you're starting to move on to the main jet, as the revs increase, it helps to make that progression a bit more smooth, I suppose you could say. And it probably helps starting and all of that. So we're just going to go and get a screwdriver and have a quick look here on this spares carb. It's the original, well, I don't know, is it the original, but it's the one that was on it before I bought a new one. We'll get a screwdriver and have a quick look in there. So the bike's starting well, running well. It's just, I have a feeling that the pilot jet on the carb is blocked from sitting up, and as we know, the petrol these days only lasts about 3 weeks, and it starts going off and losing its octane, and it starts gumming up and turning into kind of even a varnish residue. So the pilot circuit in here, there's your adjustable lad there. I think to clean it out, you have to go in there with a wire, and it usually gets blocked up right there. So this helps meter this here. So that should be clear. Yeah. So it comes in there. This screw then has a point on it, and it allows a certain amount passed in there, and that comes out into there. So that's usually where they're blocked. Now in this older carb, it's a bit of a nuisance. You've got to try and fish the wire down and all around the place. But on the carb that's fitted to the bike, it has a removable bung on, I think, each side, and you can clean it out and blow it out. Wire and carb cleaner and all of that. Fairly standard float kind of. To test it really, the float height, which is very important on these. You basically push this down, the needle valve is in there, push that down just till it's closed, and you take your measurement. It should be about 2 millimeters below here, 80 thousandths of an inch below the bowl surface, so you can scratch there where it's meant to be after you've measured, and just close that. This is coming in a bit too high by the looks of things. It's higher than so that would be causing a leak of fuel out through there, and maybe through where the air intake, the air filter goes on. The side draft carb, air comes in there, and there's your main jet there. What number is that? It's an Amal 210. That's interesting. Far bigger than what it says in the workshop manual. It said a 190 is about right. But this is a USA model, so maybe that is more so to suit the climate there. And in England and Ireland, maybe a 210 is needed due to the colder conditions, I don't know. But yeah, so that is basically it. There's a drain bung there. It's fed 2 fuel lines. One is main tank and one is reserve. It's tap on each. So what we have to do, and I don't think I'm going to take off this part of the carb on the bike. I don't like breaking that seal. We have to do is just give everything a bit of a clean out. So we also have to, it's probably going to be fairly hard to see. You can probably just see 2 little dots there between that machined area there, the kind of slot. You can just probably see 2 tiny dots. They have to be clear. They're feeding air from the pilot jet into the mixture. Now we're going closer there, and you can probably just see them there. Tiny. So I'll get a piece of wire and we'll show you if we can clean them on this. We should hopefully be able to clean them on the bike. Okay, so I'm going to actually try and do this looking through the camera here, because I'm only going to get in the way otherwise. And if I fail, I fail. But that is, I think, going down in there. It's only a matter really of trying to get a bit of a 90-degree angle on the wire. So I'm struggling here now looking through the camera. I dare say this wire is too wide, is it? Because it'd be hard to get something, maybe a guitar string or something is needed. I know something like a 20 thou guitar string is what's needed for the pilot jet. So that's probably what's needed on that. Oh, that one's going down there. Okay. This is just showing you on a spares carb anyway. So this one hole in front must actually be smaller. But regardless, that's just a quick little overview of what we have. If you want to be a little bit more like Steve McQueen, instead of putting the pancake air filter on, you can put what's known as a bell mouth, and that does give you a bit more noise, but you do have to go then and compensate for that by richening up your pilot jet. 626 Amal. Yeah, so that is roughly what we're talking about in here in these carbs. So what I hope to do with the one that's on the bike is to remove the float bowl, clean out the bottom of the bowl, open up the drain, and then just have a quick look in and make sure everything's okay, make sure the gasket's okay, and clean the pilot jet on the carb that's on the bike. And as it says, the one on the bike has a removable bung each side and you can clean out. So let's move over to the bike and let's see what we can do. Right, I like to take off the tank just to give it a bit more space to do the job properly, and so you can see a bit more. So I have the front two bolts sticking out. These are all Imperial. The back bolt here. Rubber mounts above and below. Helps stop vibration and all of that. Lovely treads in the frame. Looks like the frame was powder coated at some point during its life after it left the factory, I'd say. Unless it's original, I don't know. It looks very good. And then we have to remove just the fuel lines here on the fuel tap. So the fuel taps are off, and 5/8. Could be a bit of fuel in the line still. We'll let all of that just run down. It's not going to make much difference. It's only petrol really. Yes, actually I might just get something just to collect it. Actually just go ahead and drain the carb, I think, using the bung underneath here. Old petrol out. It's good when you turn off the fuel every now and again, just to open the drain and let out the stale petrol. And that goes straight into the parts washer. We'll put back in our bung there just to keep it safe. Loosely. And our other fuel pipe here, made up these pipes. Originally they would have been clear, I prefer the black. The petrol doesn't belong staining the pipes anyway when they're clear. They go kind of goldy colour after a while. So that's that. So we can open up the seat and she'll be able to lift off the tank and throw it up on the bench nice and safe. That'll give us a load more access to everything, and that's all. That's loose. Because it's a petrol engine, you don't have to worry then about like a diesel engine bleeding fuel systems or anything like that. Okay, so now all of a sudden we look like we're fairly well stripped down. So now what I can do is take off the air filter that's known as I think it's called a pancake filter, that's at the back of the carb there. So flathead screwdriver on a Jubilee, kind of a hose clamp, and that should be that coming off. It's very tight, I might have to. Yeah, there we go. You can't get the socket in there on that as it's in behind a little bit. Well, let's go get it. And that should shimmy off. There it is. Very old one, that. A nice bracket on it. So that is that. Now I'm just trying to make up my mind whether I take off the whole carb, break that seal that I don't want to break. I have up more gaskets there. And give everything a good clean out, or will we just go with the pilot jet tonight, I think. Because we can do that on the bike. It's just cleaning those two small holes in there might be a little bit challenging. But what we will do is we will take off the float bowl, and I suppose we can base everything we do afterwards on how good or bad things look inside there. So get a 1/4 inch socket, and I put a long Phillips head drive on it there. Oh, there's still a bit of petrol in that line there, I think. Let's let that out. Yeah, the petrol doesn't look a great colour now, to be honest. I have fuel stabilizer there, so I might end up... I did crack this one loose just to see if this bit can work, and it seems to be working fine. A snouty screwdriver can work as well, but the fuel line I find does get in the way. So for now, this will do fine. Okay. I'll let that out. The original ones were flathead, these are Phillips head. So I'll go and do the other side, and we're ready to pull that float bowl off. We'll come back. I've made Tool Inisher and Carb. A quick look at this. Gasket is perfect. Actually looks very clean down in the bowl. I think it was, my dad had it off not too long ago, I think. A quick look here and see what's happening here. Oh yeah, float level looks good. I think I had a mark on it there before, about 80 thousandths of an inch, 2mm below the top of the bowl. I think Dad said he lifted it up a little bit, the float height, yeah, just a hair. I'd be happy with that. Perfect. Yeah. Just a slightest, I mean 3 or 4, max maybe 2 or 3 thousandths higher than that. Okay, so I'd be happy with that. I think that needle valve is Teflon covered. It's what was known as an improved, I think, needle valve, sealed a bit better with rubber rather than, I think the original were brass. Float bowl is in excellent condition. I'd say it was probably cleaned out. Dad was messing with the float height. I'll probably just clean out a bit in the bung here. Very small amount. Anyway, that bit of dirt down there isn't going to go making much difference. We can hit that with the air gun. And I've made sure to have this flattened as well, but just to test it, because it does warp over time. It is only held by 2 bolts. We give it a quick rub on our sanding sheet here. And you can see that as much as I flatten this a few times already, you can see that it's still a bit low here and there. But that's probably good enough. It wasn't giving problems. So what I'll do is I'll give all of that a good blowout with the air gun. Make sure that all the channels are free. I don't want to go sanding off too much off it, because if you were to do that all the time, you'd end up with messing with float heights. And probably the best way of blowing it out. Blow back the way. Yeah, so that's all good. Happy with that. Nice and clean. Okay, so our float bowl is perfect. Now we probably need to start thinking about what we want to do with the rest of the carb. Right, so do we want... Firstly, what I am going to do, because it's easy to do, is we'll let down the camera a bit. I'll come back when I have this set up at a bit more level. What this is here now, turn on the headlamp, is an improvement to the carb in that you can take these out both sides and you then have access to the pilot jet. You can clean it out. Okay, so O-ring on that side. I'll remove the other one directly across from the other side. I'm going to give this a poke through with a carb cleaning tool, carb cleaner, and then we'll use compressed air. This is, I've just reminded myself there by looking in there, this is seriously narrow. This is the smallest file on this, and even at that it's struggling. I think I have to go in and get an old guitar string. It is tiny, utterly tiny. It's minuscule. Now it's not going right through. I forget myself if that is right or wrong, but we'll go around to the other side. This is the pilot jet here. That just, like the Ferguson 20 Senate carbs, the more you screw it in, the less air it allows into the mixture, so it richens it. So we'll move around to the other side and we'll see if we can clean it out from in there. Okay, so using compressed air through here and blocking down here, it doesn't feel to me that those two holes in there are clear. So the carb is going to come off and I'll give it a proper service, and I had a feeling that's probably what I was going to be doing anyway, and what I should be doing, because it hasn't got much use in the last 5 years since the engine was done, and I think that is the right thing to do. I think this can be a little bit awkward here with the choke and all of that. You have to be careful not to go breaking out there. Okay, nice and easy does it. There's your needle there going down into your main jet. There's your choke slider there. We'll have a quick look and see. Yeah, there's 3 positions that can be in, so we'll have a look there and see as well which one it's in. Okay. Yeah, we can have a look at that later, but what I want to do is whip off the carb, and this is just standard kind of a 1/2 inch job. We'll fit new gaskets and all of that. We'll run the flange on a sanding board. We'll give everything a proper clean up. So that is hitting off there. So we'll loosen the other one now. Okay, lovely UNF threads, similar to the Zenith carbs that you'll often see on this channel. Okay, we'll whip it off nice and handy. There's an O-ring on it there as well. So there is no gasket as such. I often did fit a gasket onto them. Okay. And we also have the option then changing the 170 main jet to a 190, because I have one of them bought as well. I do feel it's a little bit sluggish, but I don't feel it is, I just feel it's a little bit more, so when it comes back from a spin, that it gets lazy on the tick over. So let's bring that up to the bench and give it the once over. So let's have a go first to move this main jet 5/16. Let's see what's going on here. We can clean it out a bit. Okay, so that's all as you would expect. It's not a very small hole now in fairness. So we'll get be able to give him a blowout. I think I get a bit of blue paper. We'll put that down and keep things happening. Put all our parts on a bit of clean blue paper there. Okay, lovely. So the next bit we take out is this. It's a bit bigger, 7/16 or a ½ inch. Even bigger. Hardly 9/16, is it? It's a whitworth of some kind, so. Don't want to go ringing anything off. So we'll just try a slightly 14mm maybe. There we go. Okay, so the air corrector lad on the top there. And it gives a bit more air when the revs go up. Okay, any dirt come out of that? No, it looks fairly clean now in fairness. Okay, that has a fairly wide hole down in there. Nothing massive hole, yeah, so stem holes each side. They're at 106. Okay, so that is all right. So now we want to have a look and see, has our tickler there, pushes the float down, allows the bowl to fill up, allows the needle valve to be unseated, fill that up, and that's what you use for starting. So I'm going to take a quick look in there with the torch and see if I can see them two holes that are in the original or older carb. It mightn't have them. I didn't feel anything blowing through, and that's why I took off the carb. Okay. Yeah, I don't see them there. Or is it? I don't see them in there. Oh, they're this side. There they are. Try and get the camera to focus first. Bring the torch down. There. So let's try and clean them out with our carb. Now I have a feeling this is even too big. Might have to go in and get a guitar string. So it's not too big for the inside one. That's gone down into it there. I don't know how far down it goes. It's definitely doing its thing there. It goes down to this little bung there. Welsh plug or some kind, I'd imagine. The original ones were kind of brass. And the front hole there, that's going right down as well. So it's not blocked. Okay. But that jet in there, I'm going to try and show you how small it is. It is minuscule. Minuscule. I don't think this is actually going to do the cleaning we need. I think I will have to get, I did have some guitar strings left in my box of parts for this bike, but I can always go, guitar strings are too long anyway when you're stringing up a guitar, so I could go and cut a bit off. I think it's a G string is the right thickness, but we'll give it one more go here now that we have it off and we can see things a bit better. It's not going to go down into it, there's no point in forcing it because it is super narrow. It's going down a bit of the way. It's not going all the way. I don't want to go breaking on, letting it break off and there on. Yeah, I can see through it, but I can see dirt in it. So I'm just not 100% happy with that. I would like to see something coming right through. And it's not, so that's okay. But it's not blocked. I don't know, can that be seen on the camera? If we, you can see the light there through it. So it is clear. But I'm just going to hold it up and see myself. It is clear, yeah. So what we'll do is we'll get a bit of carb cleaner on the job. And we'll give it a compressed air. I can do this any time on the bike because it's completely accessible. But for now, I'll just get a bit of brake cleaner or carb cleaner, whatever I have here first. A bit of this will do because I'm all out of carb cleaner. I'll spray it down in there. This is kind of more so alcohol based, so it kind of does disappear off the hands fairly lively. If we block that, I just wouldn't mind seeing some coming out them holes there. So I might try and fill up the pilot jet altogether here. Make sure it's coming out. Them holes, yeah, it's starting to come out there now. I'll just blow a bit more. Now, that should be it. Block both them. That sound you hear there is it coming through them holes. So that is all good. You can give this flange just a quick rub. It does get worked. As you see. That's probably good enough. I just want to take a bit more. Yeah, it's a little bit high there, I suppose you could say. Sure, yes, she should be saying it's a little bit low and you can actually see it. Yeah, that's better. Okay, another quick little blowout just to get any of that stuff off it from the inside out. Oh. That should be good to go. So we can start rebuilding. Yeah, the symptoms were just basically telling me blocked pilot jet. Not surprising with how small that channel is, that jet is. super narrow. These don't have to be savage tight. I'll just give this a quick carb clean as well. And a quick bit of press there. It's not going to be any issue with that anyway. The hole is not what you'd call very wide, it's not very narrow at all. It's perfect. With the 5/16. Bit of a nip. I'll have to go crazy. And that is that. So that's a 170, yeah. Whew. Let's have a look in our spares carb. I think there was a 180 in it. Let's do that for the fun. We'll come back when we have that there. So what we have here is a new jet, 190. So 190, and that's what it says in the workshop manual for this bike. But that is the original workshop manual, and this was exported to the USA. So we'll cut this across here nice and conny, because we'll put the jet that's in it there into that little bag. We'll keep it safe in the box. That's a 170. So I'm going to chance a 190, and if I have to change back to 170, it's going to be very simple to do that, because it's only a matter of dropping the float bowl, 2 fuel pipes, and that'll come off in your hand like that, and this will be sticking down, and we'll be able to swap it very easily, quickly. So we'll know. Now, it's just going to be a process of elimination, really. I probably will buy a 180 as well if I'm not happy with this, or I'll put the 170 back in. All of my symptoms could literally have been a blocked pilot jet, and I have a feeling that is wrong. But because it's so simple to do, and we have the jet, it would be a good idea, I think, to just give it a go. I'm going to fit the carb like that, and I'm going to put the rest on when it's on. I'm going to give the little drain bung a clean out, and it'll give me a lot more space that way. So we'll set up here and we'll come back when we're all ready to go. So the O-ring is here. What I'm going to do, I'm going to put a little dot of grease in there. Try and put it on this around. It's hard to do it very neatly, but look, I'll give it a wipe. I'll just try and get it down in there a little bit. It's easier said than done. Let's work a little. It doesn't have to be the whole way around, I suppose, but we'll try and get it in. These things do dry out something fierce, and with heat and all of that. Now there is a little heat lad there, kind of a bake-like plastic lad there that's designed to stop this getting hot, maybe vaporizing fuel and warping and all of that. I just want to get a bit of that grease down in there. It's that lovely lithium grease, I think it is, of a kind. And make sure O-ring is no dirt on it. Yeah, it's okay. That should just help that stick in there. Once you're happy that it's worked in, don't mind a bit of grease on the outside of it, I just don't want, I suppose it's not going to do any harm. And that piece of plastic there, the adapter, or if you want to call it the spacer, is spotless clean as well. So like many British carburettors, you have to put the nuts on, you have to loosen it back, put the nuts on, then see a little bit fiddly, do the other side and come back. Before that, we fit the top bit in here. I forget now, it's been so long since I did this, I forget. exactly zoom it is. Yeah, slider, choke slider to the back. The whole lot can go down then. Get the back screw just going in first. Nice and easy. And the front one, and then these are little Phillips heads. Very simple carburettor. No fuel comes up this far, of course, so you don't have to be too fussed. I also have different slider in there as well. They're different sizes and they'll all allow different amounts of air in, so we can play around with them as well. This particular carb, when it was bought new, was jetted to the latest standards and configuration and tuning and all of that. So I think there's a 3.5 and a 4 slider there. For one of them is fitted. I forget which one's which one is fitted, but I know the workshop manual states the other one. In other words, if there's a 3.5 fitted, the workshop manual says a 4, but the people that sold it have jetted and tuned it with the slider to modern kind of specs, so we can play around with that as well one of the days if we want to change to a bigger or a smaller slider. So I'll do the other side and we'll come back. So if you're a Brit bike enthusiast, Triumph, BSA, Norton, whatever the case may be, you're probably noticing that I'm doing things differently or wrong or whatever. I'm no expert at all on these. The reason why I bought this was my granddad always rode a Triumph. He had a Tiger Cub 200cc single cylinder, and then in 1967 he treated himself to a Tiger T90 350 twin, and that's still in the family. Was restored for his 80th birthday, unknown to him. Then when my dad turned 60, we treated him to a 1966 Tiger 90 350 twin, and basically the exact same as his father's, just a year older. And shortly after that, this bike came up for sale locally, and I couldn't let it pass, so we purchased it. So that's why I got it. I wouldn't be considering myself any form of a motorcyclist as such, just an enthusiast, but I do plan on having a bit more content on this bike on the channel, and putting up the videos. Okay, so this is the float bowl. We're happy enough, it's very clean. So in with our needle valve. Let's give the tip just a little clean. Teflon needle valve. I think it's the type of material that it is. It's a little bit awkward to do this now, the way I'm going about it. So we'll move over to the bench rather than things falling and getting dirty, and we'll come back when this is ready to fit. Let's get this put back together. Right, so we've got our float bowl. We got our cross shaft here. That just goes in there, and make sure that that is sliding okay and not catching. We hang that in there. We drop a whole lot down, make sure that's centralized, and our float then can work. Float lifts, pushes the Teflon needle down, and it stops the fuel until it needs more. So now I'll set up the camera here again, bring it down a bit lower, and I'll get this float bowl fitted. Okay, here we go. So on with that, on with our car gasket. Float bowl is nicely face of the bowl is nicely machined, nicely flattened, I should say. So let's try and get that through the carb, through the gasket first. I think we've messed up here already, have we? Is the float still okay? Because if it's not, it will allow a lot of fuel to escape. It's just a little bit awkward starting it off because there's not much space to get your finger each side of the bolt. Once you get it started at all, it's easy enough. Okay. And we'll get our screwdriver bit in underneath there. This side's a little bit awkward with the way I have the fuel pipes. The banjo to go into can be moved left or right, but I think there's some reason why I have it that way. So let's get that loosely fitted there so we can go around the other side and get the same done. We'll come back then when we have the other side done and we'll give it a nip up. Okay, so for any reason, when I test this and I'm not happy with it, I'll just revert back to the 170. In fact, I'll buy a 180 and we'll play around with that too, because it's going to be so easy and quick to change it. It'll be fun to try it out. Every engine's different. And we'll work out which one is the best for it. The jet, main jet in the carb that was on this originally is actually a 210. And I know it was always getting the plugs, spark plugs, very dirty. It's running too rich. So that definitely probably needed to be changed. So this is our pilot jet blank and grub screw there. So that screws in there nice and snug. The O-ring then does its thing, it doesn't have to be crazy tight. So that's that. I'm just going to put on the bell mount for the time being. And then we're going to play around then by putting on the actual proper air filter, the pancake filter as well after. For now, because it's so easy. Because we have gone up on the fuel by putting in a 190 over a 170, I think maybe fitting the bell mount will help level that out a bit if it needs to be. Help just a little bit more air in. Get on the right threads of this at all. It's only an aluminium. Oh, there we go. And we'll be able to, of course, if we're happy with enough of how this is running, put on the pancake breeder then, that will cause a little more of a draw on the fuel side of things. And if we feel it's a little bit rich with that, we'll go and throw in a 180. I do want to keep the pancake breeder on as much as possible because of dust and all of that. There is our drain bung. Mind you, some of these engines only ever had a bell mount breeder on them. Sometimes even the twin carbs, they had two bell mount breeders, and I don't think there was ever much problems. But I suppose, like the other vehicles in this shed, are well outside their working life at this stage of the game. Expected working life, useful life, whatever you want to call it. So we do want to take care of them as much as we can. Okay. Get a little nip on that. Instead of being lazy and using a snouty pliers, I'll try and use what I should be using. A stubby screwdriver. Okay, so that is that. I have to just nip this up now. So that's nipped up. Is the other side nipped up? It is. Okay. And here's our other float bowl screw or bolt nipped as well. Get a feel of that. Yeah, that seems probably good enough. Okay, so we're ready for the tank. So make sure our throttle is doing its thing. It is. Our choke. It's doing its thing, yeah, you can feel it there. Okay, so let's go and get the tank on. Get the tank, drop it down, bolt it up, fit the fuel lines. Nice and easy, does it? Get that started by hand, kind to the treads. I think that's going there. There we go, keep that loose. Throw in the two front ones. Okay, we've got a rubber washer needed there, I think. Probably fallen off along the way. It did. Here it is. So we'll throw that in. Very important having a bit of rubber underneath them there for vibrations and all of that. Slip him in there. Feed it where that wants to go. And she goes. Careful, just on hand tight. And kicks the camera stand. Okay. So yeah, everything nice and just snug by hand. I'm not going to be going bringing it for a spin or anything like that. That'll do. Close over the tank. Close over the seat, I should say. On with the fuel pipe. One side is main and one side is reserve. Okay, same with the other side. Five eighths spanner, bit of a nip. I think that is complete again. So I'm going to do a tidy up and I'll come back. One thing I did forget to do was throw in the pilot screw, and I think they say 1.5 turns out is about right, so we'll get it to seat fully and then we'll give it a, so there we are, about 1 o'clock. That's a half turn, 1 turn, 1.5 in or around. This has fallen off. I'm trying to figure out where it's from. Has it fallen off me? Ah, I see where it's starting coming off now. We don't have to go very far to see. It has come off where the camera is focusing there, I think. I think it's just come out of there, if I'm not mistaken, after the pressure has come off the cable. It started coming out. So there we go. And we're back in. Okay, so we turn on our fuel and we see if there is, you can hear the flow working there anyway. You can hear the needle valve rattling as it kind of does when it gets to the fuel level, gets to the top. And we're all fairly good, I think, there. Yeah. Okay, that's starting to look good. So let's try it for a start. Okay, let's try it. So we have our fuel turned on already. I'm going to tickle the carb out, start and kick starter there. Okay, that's coming out. Choke is on full. Ignition on, bit of rev. Okay, so off choke probably a little bit too early, or the fuel is too old, or bitter, probably both. Okay, one first kick start. So, there you go. Time will tell whether it is good on the 190 jet, but as I said, it's very, very easy to change it back to a 170, and I will get a 180 as well. And we'll get it tuned to suit the engine and to suit where it lives now, because that all will have a bearing on it. So, I think we're going to leave it there for this evening. It's nice to start a job and finish a job in the one video. It was only meant to be an introduction video, but in true Daz's Den style, we usually like to get the hands dirty when we come out to the shed. So we're going to leave it there. If you like the video, please hit the thumbs up symbol, hit subscribe if you haven't, and leave a comment. And we hope to see you in the next one. Slán go fóill.